Welcome to the BitGeek Podcast. I'm your host, Ron Avis, and sitting with me here at the desk is my co-host, the Prince of Pixels.
Nick Wright.
Also coming back is 4KJ, the Man of Steel.
Jason Bridwell.
And today we're going to conclude the top 10 Marvel Cinematic Universe movies.
Number 7 is a very good one. Thoroughly enjoyed this movie. The first Avenger, Captain America.
Yep. And how do we all have this ranked?
Let's see here.
Chris
Ron-
Evans playing Captain America for the
Ron,
first time.
you had it at 14.
14.
Nick, you had it at number 1. Very nice.
Wow.
And then I had it at number 7.
I knew Nick had it really high because when we had a previous show, we were talking about movies, comic book movies that we liked, and that was one of yours. But wow, number 1. Nick, why number 1?
I don't know. I just really like this one. It's just really well done. I love Red Skull. I just love the way he talks.
Hugo
Weaving, yeah.
I think that you are a man of great vision, and in this way we are much alike.
I am nothing like you.
No, of course, but what others see as superstition, you and I know to be a science.
What you seek is just a legend.
Then why make such an effort to conceal it?
And I'd probably get ahead of myself again, but I'll just go ahead and say it. I was so happy to see him back in Infinity War.
That was great.
By the way, it was a different voice.
Yeah, it's a different actor.
But still, it's still Red Skull. So
I'd like to give us some credit. We were all kind of talking amongst ourselves before the movie came out. We're like, who are some characters that might show up in this movie that nobody's expecting? And one of you guys, maybe Jay, I don't remember.
I was expecting it because think about it. He got sucked up into the Tesseract. Where'd he go? You never saw him.
I was always hoping for it, but not really so much expecting it.
Right.
I was thinking he would show up. I didn't know how, what format, but I was really thinking he's going to show up.
It's funny because we were just talking a little while ago about how these actors want to be involved with these movies. Why would Hugo Weaving not want to show up just for a couple lines?
Well, I read something about I think he didn't enjoy the makeup. I think that was a big thing for him. He didn't enjoy doing the makeup. And I mean, it's a lot of makeup, but I mean, he looks so fantastic. I mean, to be an actual practical effect as a villain, I mean, he's probably the best looking villain that I can think of.
He's cool.
I mean, to be practical and not be CG or anything. I mean, really well done. And I did, like Nick said, I like how he talks too. It's kind of cool.
Well, that's what I was sitting there thinking, like, well, okay,
Ever
get some
since The Matrix,
just
man.
get some other guy to be the makeup guy, and then let him dub his voice. Maybe I don't know.
Well, see, I think too, and the reason I kind of knew he was going to show up at some point is I believe if I read correctly, Hugo Weaving was signed on for a 3-movie deal. He only
I think I remember you
did the
telling me
one
that
film.
before.
So, like, where's the other 2 films at? So it only made sense for him to be in Avengers, Infinity War. And I've since read something that the Russo brothers were talking about that kind of hinted to you're going to see more of him.
Okay.
I hope so. Now that he's been revealed,
And maybe more than just one more film.
Yeah.
Like he may have a future role on out.
He's a cool villain.
down the road.
Why not use him? And especially in the Captain America canon, he's kind of like the main guy.
yeah. But just another scene I really like in that movie is when what's Captain America's name?
Steve
Rogers.
Rogers. Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the character's name. Steve Rogers. When he's like in boot camp or whatever, and there's that scene where they're in the Jeep and they're saying that if you can, they pull over and stop at that flagpole, and
yes.
if you can, whoever can take down that flag, can ride back in the Jeep.
Nobody's
with,
done that in 25
you know,
years.
what was her name? But the girl.
Peggy Carter. or
Yeah,
whatever.
Peggy
Yes.
Carter.
Yeah.
And
Agent Carter.
Sorry.
yeah, Agent Carter.
My bad.
And so everybody's all like trying to fight and trying to climb up the pole and
Yeah.
sliding down, and nobody can do it. And after everybody else gives up, he just walks over and pulls that pin, and it just drops, and he picks up the flag and hops in the Jeep.
He wasn't at that time a physical person, so he has to use his brains
uses
and his
brains,
moxie.
yeah.
Well,
you know.
that and he used his heart too, like when he fell on the fake grenade and all the other
Oh,
guys
yeah,
ran
yeah.
away.
Is this a test? He's still skinny.
Yeah.
Yeah, just all those different things. I just love those scenes.
The Tommy Lee Jones character he was cool. I like that. In this movie, okay, so it's set during World War I, the Great War.
Yes.
So it's probably the first movie in the timeline, I guess, of the cinematic universe. If you were to look at a timeline.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes.
So they had an opportunity to lay the groundwork for some of the, earliest characters.
well, Shield. The
Shield.
groundwork for Shield was laid.
Yeah. Tony Stark's dad, Howard Stark,
Yep.
he's in it. Let's see. Agent Carter, obviously. But I like that we get these like kind of origins. Like I like that era too. Like action movies during this era with the Germans and stuff. Like it's always entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and Red Skull. He's not a Nazi or anything,
Well,
is he?
Well,
yeah, he is.
yeah, he
He's in a
is.
Nazi
Oh, is he a
uniform.
Nazi?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. So he's an actual Nazi. Okay.
But he didn't really have an allegiance to Hitler. Kind of once he,
Hail Hydra.
you could tell once he kind of got the
Well, this is where the Tesseract
Tesser-
is
right.
is
Well, once he got the
introduced.
Tesseract and all that, he was ready to break off and do his own thing.
Yeah, let's talk about the Tesseract because this is the beginning of the Stones.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Tesseract was
It's the first stone that's.
it's the first stone. We didn't know it at the time.
Right.
We didn't even know it was going to play a big part in the Avengers movie.
Yeah, it was just like a cosmic cube.
It was the big glowing thing that movies do all the time.
Yeah.
There's a MacGuffin that everybody's after, and but they expanded it to make it the Infinity Gauntlet. It's like the the first hint that we get of this gigantic event, like Infinity War storyline.
right.
Starts right there. Let's see, Captain America. Let's see. Is this the third movie? It went Iron Man, then Hulk, then Thor, then it's the fourth movie.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I was going to say it's at least the third, but
Yeah.
I think the fourth.
For whatever reason, I think Thor came out first.
Actually,
And they might have come out the same year. Just one came out before the other.
Oh, Nick's got him by phases. Cool.
yeah, so Iron Man, Hulk, Iron Man 2, and Captain America.
Oh, okay. Iron Man 2 was in there. Yeah. Okay. Chris Evans. Another great stroke of casting. He's a totally likable guy. He'd been in another superhero character before. He
Yeah,
was
Human Torch.
Human Torch. Yeah.
Johnny Storm.
Johnny Storm. Yeah.
Which I'm going to be honest with you, when they first cast him at first, I had a little bit of reservations because traditionally in the comic, of course, I go too much by the comics.
No, that's cool.
Like,
man.
I
I'm
guess
glad that you're kind of there.
I
to
guess
check
I'm like
it.
the people who like read books and
The
then go see a
sweaties.
movie and go like, this movie's terrible. It's nothing like the book. Well, I'm that guy.
This isn't accurate. No.
Right. Well, I mean, Chris Evans isn't a blonde head.
His hair was
You're right.
Yeah.
So I was a little hesitant, but after I saw it, I was like, yeah, he's perfect.
Yeah, I love the way he plays Captain America as this sort of everyday guy, this kind of
Hard-working,
hard
blue collar Joe.
Blue collar Joe. Like let's do it for the team, and let's not try to use foul language and
Age of
Hold the
Ultron.
Ultron.
Language.
language. Yeah, I can't believe I said that.
I'm not living this one down. am
But
I?
he's kind of like your moral barometer,
Yeah, he kind of keeps him.
But as the movies went along, he also showed a lot of resolve. He stood up for what he believed in. He didn't just fall in line with the government like you thought he might.
Right.
And, when the Accords and stuff came around, he was like the renegade.
A little bit, yeah.
I'm not going to sign your Accords. I feel like our guys need some sort of.
Plus, in this first movie, you got to meet Bucky.
Oh,
who
Bucky, very
eventually-
good.
And you find out kind of a little about how he becomes the Winter Soldier. Just, I guess, the tragedy that led to that. You don't really see how he became the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, the
but-
Howling Commandos. That was his team.
Yep.
And they had a cool montage where they're just like tearing through the Nazis, and he thinks he loses Bucky, and Bucky was, of course, the guy who meant the most to Steve.
Now that you said something about the Howling Commandos, said the one gentleman that was the Howling Commando, the gentleman that was Asian, he's also the principal in Homecoming. And if you're in his office and you look over on his desk, there's a picture of him as the Howling Commando guy. Well, I guess it was supposed to be like his grandfather or something.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So I thought that was pretty neat.
I tip my cap to you, Marvel. That's just the extra mile, just the little extra touches that we love. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a new one for me.
Because
remember
I think
reading
he's
that,
one of the
yeah.
first and
Okay.
only people that they've done that where they've actually had the same guy, I guess not in makeup or whatever, do two different roles in two different films.
Well, the
Yeah, so
teacher
he was
was in one of
around.
the other movies. The teacher in Spider-Man: Homecoming, the one who's like, I can't lose another student or whatever.
Oh, was he in something else?
He was in the Incredible Hulk movie as like some technician.
Oh,
right.
was he in there in the computer when
Yeah.
he was when he was trying to find the information in the computers?
I think so, yeah. So they've done it before, but that's just like really cheeky though. The way that
Yeah.
he's like a principal now in the
Yeah.
future. It's his grandfather.
So yeah, I thought that was pretty neat.
So yeah, they established Captain America as the leader. He's the first Avenger, and they hit another home run. Marvel did. I don't want to skip past this one. It ends pretty on a down note. He goes down in the plane, to save the day, and it was important they did that because they set it up for him to wake up in the current timeline, which I wasn't really thinking about at the time. Stupid me.
Right.
They were just starting to pepper us with the idea of an Avengers movie at this time. Samuel L. Jackson, I forget how did he show up in this movie?
He's in extra scenes.
extra
after
scene?
they thaw him out at the end.
Is this the one with Tony at the bar?
No, that's Hulk. This is after they've thawed him out. They found him because the movie starts out. They find the plane in the ice at the beginning of the movie. Then it kind of goes backwards and tells you why they found this plane in the ice. Of course, it's Cap in there.
Yeah. Let's talk about Samuel L. Jackson's character, Nick Fury. We haven't mentioned him yet. He's such an important character in all these movies. First of all, he's Sam Jackson being Sam Jackson, which is
Right.
always fun.
Right.
But he was that guy that kind of would pop in these extended scenes, these at the end of the movie, and start to let us know that it's being tied all together.
Well, yeah, he was at the end of Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he really wasn't he wasn't in the movies until I think Avengers, right?
No, he was in Iron Man 2.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah, he
okay,
was.
Okay. Forget about Iron Man 2. That's a pretty good movie. I like that. I don't know if we're going to get to that, though. Maybe we'll talk about that at the end. I don't think it's in our 10.
It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay. Nick, anything else you want to share with Captain America? Your favorite Marvel movie?
It was kind of cool. The doctor guy, Armin Zola.
Yeah.
That
Sola, I think.
Zola.
The weird little guy?
It's
Yeah,
right, it's
that
right here on the-
he.
Toby Jones.
Toby
Doctor.
Jones, yeah.
Yeah.
Dr.
Zola.
Arnim Zola?
Zola.
Yeah, because I kind of read about that character. Kind of you were talking about like with Jason. Maybe if he's not familiar with somebody, he'll look up like on Wikipedia or whatever.
Mhm, sure.
So he was somebody I'd kind of done that with, and saw that at some point down the line that he basically becomes almost like Krang, like from Ninja Turtles. That it'd be like a robot suit with
Really?
yeah, kind of that kind of deal.
Oh.
But and you got bits of that like in the next.
Well, his consciousness was inputted.
It was in like that computer.
Yeah.
So you got like bits of that in the next.
So they
Captain
might be
America
following
movie.
through with that after all.
Well, I mean, I think they're done with that now. I don't think they're going full blown robot suit, but but they had his conscious in a computer. I mean, it touched on it.
Speaking of that, kind of rewind backwards to Homecoming.
Okay.
Ned in the comics ends up being a bad guy.
Oh, I was going to bring that up. Yeah, he becomes one of the
I can't remember his
one
character's
one
name,
of the oh gosh.
but he ends up becoming a bad guy.
He was like the main villain in Spider-Man. I can't think of his daggone name.
Well, like Green Goblin.
Green Goblin. Yeah, doesn't he become a goblin?
Is he a hobgoblin?
I think so. I thought that's maybe what I'd read at some point, and I was like, I hope that they don't do that.
But they had multiple Green Goblins, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
He
think
he,
so.
he definitely becomes a bad. I can't remember who it was though, but yeah, he does become a bad guy. At some point.
I remember reading that and thinking, oh man, he's such a likable character. Like I hope that they don't do.
Well, they may not because they
well,
don't.
they did it with Harry. Like they were best friends, and then they became enemies.
Well,
and
they don't
whatever.
always follow the.
No, they don't.
the comics.
They don't, and I hope they don't
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah, because like Norman Osborn, Harry Osborn, I'm not sure who else has been Green Goblin, and I don't know who was Hobgoblin.
Well, see, I think if I remember correctly, I could have this wrong. It's been a long time. My brother was more into Spider-Man than I was. Norman is the Green Goblin. I thought Harry was the Hobgoblin.
Well, there's more than one Green Goblin.
I think you're right.
I think they've both been Green Goblin. I mean, I don't know for sure, but
That's the thing they do in comics. They kind of like hand the roles down. The characters get them. They take up the mantle.
Right.
I feel like there's even more than just the two of them.
Yeah,
that
I
have
think
been Green Goblin.
there's been multiple Green Goblins, I think, over the years.
Yeah, I can't speak to it, so I probably shouldn't say. But I remember reading that, Jay. That's a good point. And I hope they don't follow through with that, because I really like enjoying Ned as him, like innocent little Ned. I want him to always be the shy kid with the fedora hat who wears it because it makes him feel confident.
Right.
All right, so let's see. Are we done with Captain America?
I think it
Move on.
Kind of wraps it up.
It's a real solid movie. Yeah, I would think that a lot of people would have put it around where I put it, but it's cool that maybe just over time you appreciate the Cap character more and more and more.
Well, it's not a really overly complicated story either. It's
I just feel like when it came out, people were just like, "This is a safe movie."
There's like 4 names. According to this, there's been like 4 Green Goblins.
Oh, Nick's looked up on his
Yeah.
phone. There.
I've never even heard of these other 2. though.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe some of you people out there who read Spider-Man more than we do can leave in the comments if you guys know. Like, let us know. I'm curious. Who is it that Ned becomes?
I don't know. There's the name. Hobgoblin.
Yeah.
He becomes
he's
Hobgoblin?
Hobgoblin.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
Yep.
never mind. Don't leave a comment.
There's even more
You're
Hobgoblins.
too late.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
There's
6
6
Hobgoblins. Oh, which that name, that guy, Phil
Ulrich.
he was Green Goblin and Hobgoblin.
So,
Spider-Man's been around for a long time, I guess. All right. What's our number 6, Jay?
well, number 6 would be The Winter Soldier.
Oh, okay. We're going right into the sequel, basically.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, I kind of already mentioned that one a
Right.
little bit.
Yeah. Winter Soldier is
Which this is where Dr. Zola is actually a computer.
Yeah, they go down into that bunker, the old where Steve became Captain America. They go down to that lab down underground, and yeah, he's there. They try to blow him up. Bucky is the Winter Soldier, and that was a cool reveal.
Yes, that was very cool.
I don't remember like anybody seeing that coming when he was revealed.
No, I don't think anybody did.
And I really enjoy how Black Widow kind of got involved in this movie.
Yeah.
She teamed up with Cap, and they really made a good team.
Mhm.
And I like how Black Widow kind of is able to play both sides pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's just like her espionage kind of background where she's able to do that. But this movie, this is like the first movie I feel like where people started talking about the Marvel movies as like legit movies. Like this is kind of like a genre movie.
Yeah.
Like a kind of like a spy movie, you know, like it's not a superhero movie. It's like a legit spy kind of, you know,
Just
that
involve-
kind of
just involve superheroes.
just that kind of movie. It's a genre movie.
We didn't mention our individual picks on this one.
Oh, okay, go ahead, Jay.
Winter Soldier for Ron was number 6.
Yeah, I really liked it.
It was number 5 for Nick, and I had it at number 8.
Okay. I really feel like they kind of started developing Cap as a fighter almost, like especially with his shield. You kind of start seeing Cap use that shield in ways you hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
In that opening scene where he's on the boat, I really love that scene. You know, like it starts out basically with him like jumping out of a helicopter
Yeah.
into the water
With
and
no parachute.
yeah. So you're really seeing like how powerful Cap is.
I wonder if Tom Cruise can do that in the next Mission.
He tried if they'd let him. I'm sure they would never let him.
Oh, you also get another reveal of another character in this movie, Crossbones.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they kind of reveal him towards the end, I guess. No, he was one of the
He was one of the. He's a soldier, but he's for.
He works for Shield.
Yeah.
He's kind of like
But-
a muscle, kind of like.
He's an undercover Hydra guy that's in Shield.
Yeah.
It was a little disappointing, I think, though, in Civil War that he was just
yeah,
in so
he was.
little.
Yeah, he was kind of just fodder, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, right, in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I just went ahead and pulled that up. So in this movie, you get Robert Redford, another big name, big
Yeah.
actor name, and it turns out he's kind of like the bad guy.
Sorry, Mr. Pierce, I forgot my phone.
Oh, Renata. I wish you would have knocked.
This one just really shook up the Marvel universe because, like, unveiling that Shield has been corrupted
Compromised.
with,
By
compromised with
Hydra.
Hydra. Yeah, it's
So-
like nothing's been the same like ever since this.
No, yeah, they've kind of been working underground ever since this, haven't they?
And you get the introduction of Falcon,
Oh yeah, yeah. Let's talk about Falcon.
Sam Wilson.
I really enjoy the Falcon character as sort of Steve Rogers' most trusted,
Friend or whatever.
friend. Yeah,
Well-
he's always going to have his back, and he does. He eventually becomes Captain America, doesn't he?
I think in one iteration in the comics, he does become Captain America.
I don't know if I could see him like able to carry that role necessarily.
Well, I think this is just speculation. I think if Cap has a demise in Avengers 4, I believe
will.
I believe the new Cap is going to be the Winter Soldier.
Oh, okay. But even him as an actor, I'm not sure. I don't necessarily. Well, he's also been.
I think he can pull it off.
Was it in Black Panther where he'd kind of been rehabilitating
He was the
in
White Wolf.
Wakanda?
He was
Yeah,
the
he was the
White
White
Wolf.
Wolf. So he's a totally different person now. So I don't know, maybe.
What if he's related to Mr. Wolf?
What did I say?
Don't do shit unless.
Unless what?
Unless you do it first.
Spoken like a true prodigy.
Oh, from Pulp Fiction. That would be awesome. But yeah, at its heart, it's just kind of like this spy movie, like one of those Harrison Ford Patriot Games kind of movies.
Right.
Kind
Well,
of.
I mean, you even saw that Hydra was all the way up into, like, politicians.
Oh, Gary Shandling.
Yeah. Well, him and the other guy that
He was the senator from Iron Man 2 or whatever.
But this isn't the place to talk about it. This nice pen.
Thank you.
Come here. Hail Hydra.
And the one bald-headed guy that they almost dropped off the roof. They threatened to drop off the roof to get him to talk. Was he?
Oh, I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah. He definitely was deep in,
Yeah. So
He was like agent something or other. I forget.
he had glasses and he was bald.
Yeah, and then right, they pretended to drop him off the building. Well, they did drop him off the building, but Falcon caught him.
Falcon caught him. So,
Man, the action's solid. The story's really good.
And there was that
Yeah.
mention of Doctor Strange's name.
that's right. Because towards the end of the movie, he goes, "You got guys now that can crawl up walls." And then, how did they mention Doctor? Oh, they mentioned Doctor Stephen Strange. They said
Yeah.
Doctor Stephen Strange in the film.
Yeah, they said his name.
So there were some, nods to some future characters that were coming about. And what Ant-Man? That's when he was talking about it. He said he knew a guy.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Man, that was like that scene kind of showed up as another.
Right. It was a. Was that part of?
Well, no, that where he's referencing the Ant-Man was later on because Ant-Man ran into him.
In Civil War is where they kind of ran into that
In,
scene that he's talking about.
But what movie was it that he referenced that in? I knew a guy.
In Ant-Man, he ran into the Avengers bunker, and that's where he met Falcon.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. That's
He
right.
mentions him. It's the snippet. Whatever movie was right before Civil War.
And so then when
Because
Civil War came
Was that
out,
Ant-Man then?
when Civil War came out, he knew about Ant-Man.
Yeah. So Ant-Man must have come out right before Civil War then, right?
So it was Civil War where he said, "I know a guy," and he went and got.
Right. That was the extra credit scene for whatever movie that was at the end of when he referenced that. Because remember he's got the Winter Soldier.
I feel like such a nerd right now.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Another notable thing about this movie that I got to mention is it's the first movie where we get the Russo brothers,
Yes.
who had become the guys.
The quintessential directors.
They went on to do Civil War, and then they did a phenomenal job with Infinity War, and they're doing Avengers 4. So
Which Civil War, I don't even really consider it a Captain America movie. It's an Avengers movie.
everybody says that. Everybody says it's like Avengers 2.5.
I mean, it might as well be.
It very much feels like an Avengers movie, and especially after the Age of Ultron was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, it was kind of a little bit of a.
We didn't have to wait too long. I think Civil War came out the summer after Age of Ultron, so we didn't have to wait a long time. We kind of did get another Avengers movie right away.
That's correct.
But yeah, so Civil War, really good movie. I mean, not Civil War, Winter Soldier. Sorry.
Yep.
But yeah, it ends. It ends with all of the the helicarriers and stuff going down in flames. Shield is revealed, like Nick said, that there's compromise by Hydra, and they no longer can rely on Shield anymore.
Right. Well, the end scene in this, I just remembered what it was. It was Bucky going to the museum to see the exhibit that Captain America was in, because he came in. He was standing there reading it, and then he saw himself with the howling. What are they called?
Howling Commandos.
The Howling Commandos, and that because he kept calling him Buck, and he didn't. He couldn't.
Oh yeah,
remember.
because he didn't know. He
couldn't remember.
He was still brainwashed.
He couldn't bring himself to injure or hurt him.
It's like he knew something was there.
Once he knocked the mask off,
Right.
and he knew who it was, and he was in shock initially. He couldn't, and he's been protecting Bucky ever since.
Right.
All through Civil War, and all the way to Infinity War. Basically, he was not going to give up Bucky. So that's how much he meant to him. But yeah, so cool movie, great movie.
Yeah.
All right, so what would be number 5 now?
We are at correct number 5, and we just got done kind of sort of talking about it. Civil War.
Wow, so they're like back to back to back.
Yeah,
Like the
just had 'em
Captain
all in a
America
row.
trilogy is like right all together.
But it's probably the strongest of the trilogies. When you think about Iron Man and Thor and Captain America, they're the strongest.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that.
Which is why Captain America is like so vital to the Avengers.
So,
What's going to happen when he dies or whatever happens?
if he dies,
If he dies, we don't.
it's
know
presumed that he will, obviously, because Chris Evans has already said.
Yeah, he's already
his
kind of
last
said I'm
film,
done.
So
He said he's done, and I believe him.
Well,
I feel like he said he was done even before he did Infinity War.
Oh, I guess before you.
Oh, let's not go any further. Let's check our own personal scores on this.
All right, so for Civil War,
Ron, you had it at number 5.
yeah, 5 for
Nick
5. Yeah.
had it at number 7, and I had it at number 2.
Wow. Okay, Jay.
Nice.
Why don't you tell us your favorite part about Civil War then, since you had it so high?
Oh man, it incorporated so many characters.
Spider-Man.
Well, you got Spider-Man.
We kind of mentioned it before. We got the
You got 2
reintroduction.
major reveals in this
He
movie.
grabs the shield of Captain America.
You got Spider-Man,
guys.
and you got Black Panther,
That's
which
true.
was
yeah,
really
that
cool.
was
Black
the
Panther's
introduction of him.
which is
That's
really
huge.
cool. Just the way they brought
I love
everybody
that scene
together.
where like Cap was chasing or Black Panther was chasing Cap
yes,
on the freeway
when they
or
were
whatever.
running down the road.
Yeah.
That was
Way cooler than
fantastic.
any of the action scenes in the Black Panther movie.
That was a really cool scene.
Unfortunately.
Well, just the beginning of the movie. I mean, you just jumped right into the movie, and it was action from the jump.
Oh yeah, because we just mentioned.
And one thing that was
what's
really
his face?
cool in that opening scene, where they're in that garbage truck and they run into, I guess, where they were keeping that chemical or whatever it was that they stole. They ran the truck into that. That was real. They really ran that truck through that concrete, all that stuff. That was
I think I read that too.
that was a real stunt. That was not CG.
Jay's always gonna appreciate that.
Oh yeah.
It's number 2 because of that.
Well, no, not just because of that.
Because
but-
they didn't resort to
just thought-
crappy special effects.
Right. Well, crappy CG is crappy CG. I don't know what to tell
Don't
you.
get Jay started on crappy stuff.
George Lucas.
Ruins the movie for Jay.
So, but I mean, just all the different characters that were involved and the story. I mean, because you found out that Bucky is the one who ended up killing Tony's parents.
Oh man, that last scene was devastating.
Right.
With it all seemed like things were gonna work out okay. Iron Man showed up to help, and then all of a sudden you're left with Bucky, Cap, and Iron Man down in this, like the main villain, the what's his face,
Zemo.
Zemo. Yeah, his plan came to fruition exactly the way he wanted.
He
it
was
to.
going to have them basically beat themselves from within.
The villain was so
Calculating.
yeah, it was great, and the story was just phenomenal. And by the way, isn't Civil War one of Marvel's like keystone
Yes.
stories?
Yes, it's where the Avengers basically split and face off.
They become fractured more or less,
Yes.
and it's like Tony versus Cap, and they're friends. They don't want to
Right.
be against one another, and the whole thing the whole thing boils down to whether or not they're going to sign these accord. What are they called? Or they is
The
it called the
Accords.
Wachovia Accords?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, and Tony, who's fresh off feeling all that guilt from the Iron Man 3 and the first Avengers, like he's just feeling all the guilt, all the blowback, and Ultron.
Yeah.
Right.
So he's like, yes, I think we should be held accountable, and you can see his side, but then you can also see Cap's side, who's like, like we ought to be able to operate in the shadows, like we have to protect the people who are willing to fight. You can see where he comes from. So it was like Team Cap and Team, Stark. And let's see, how did it go? It was, well, Stark, of course, recruited Spider-Man. You got the great scene with May and all that. But he also had, of course, War Machine, and he had Vision, yeah. And then I guess also he would have had Scarlet Witch, yeah.
Or were they?
He didn't have Scarlet Witch.
Was Scarlet Witch on Cap's side?
On opposite sides?
Yeah, because Tony was the one that wanted to keep her grounded and keep her locked up. So she ended up going with. I'm pretty sure she went with Team Cap. And then Black Panther was on Team Iron Man.
Yep, he was on their side too.
And so
then
Cap had it was Cap.
Was
Falcon.
Ant-Man also?
No, it was Cap.
No, Ant-Man was on
Ant-Man.
Yeah.
I think Hawkeye. Yeah.
Yeah, because Ant-Man was riding on Hawkeye's arrow.
Yep.
That airport scene. Can we just jump to that? That's what this movie's all about.
That was a comic book cover right there.
Oh God, yeah, where they're like running at each other and.
No, I mean the Ant-Man on Hawkeye's arrow.
Oh, that was a comic book cover.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's cool. Little tidbit. But it all kind of like culminated into this clash of heroes. They're all friends. They have a history with one another, but they find themselves fighting.
Right.
And I like it too because like a lot of them are kind of pulling punches. They're not really trying to hurt one another. They're just trying to keep up a show. Because you had Hawkeye and Black Widow. They found themselves on opposite sides. We know they have a friendly history.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's because didn't Scarlet Witch call him out for pulling his punches?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She kind of noticed. But that was all of that was phenomenal.
I mean, really, the only characters you were missing was Thor and Hulk, and of course they were
Ragnarok.
They were off Ragnarok. And
what is up with Thor and Hulk? Well, because there was that weird dream sequence from Ultron, where Thor, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, he kind of envisioned the whole Ragnarok thing, so to speak.
Yeah, so he was off. But by doing that, you get to give some of these newer characters some time to shine. Ant-Man, Spider-Man, Scarlet Witch. Like they wouldn't have had as much time if Thor and Hulk were there. Mm-hmm. So it's just a masterful job of utilizing the characters, all the actors playing the characters perfectly. Scarlet Witch has become one of my favorite characters. Like I really enjoy Scarlet Witch. When she was introduced in the Ultron movie, like I just did not care about her.
Well,
or Quicksilver, and
it was the way they chose to introduce them, seeing as at the time that movie came out, they did not have the rights to.
They couldn't call them mutants.
Mutant.
Yeah, you're talking about the extended or the post-credit scene.
What were they called? Enhanced.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Like Captain America.
And apparently they were supposed to have been enhanced by Loki's scepter, which is not true because they are Magneto's children.
Which movie? I mean, it's not really important, but whichever movie that had that post-credit scene that introduced them.
It was before Ultron.
I'll admit. Well, I mean, obviously it's before Ultron because they're introduced in Ultron.
It was the one right before Ultron.
But I'll admit, I had to read to find out what was going on there. I had no clue. Like, what the heck did I just see?
Right. It was very bizarre because it was.
Can you refresh my memory? Because I don't remember that.
It was basically just like a lab.
And they were kind of in cages.
Yeah, and like Quicksilver, I mean, like all you see is like this blur, like little
going back and forth. Kind of in the cage.
I kind of remember that part. Yeah,
and she was just kind of sitting on the ground, wasn't she? In her cage, kind of just.
So they were in cages. Wow.
Yeah,
that's lame.
Yeah, I mean they're like locked in a room or something, but yeah. I mean and it goes by so quick. I was just like, what did I just see?
Yeah.
The twins. Sooner or later, they will meet the twins.
Yeah, I gotta see this movie again just so I can get another look at that ending credit scene.
And so, I had to read, and even after reading and being like, okay, so that's supposed to be Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. Okay.
And to make things even more confusing is in the X-Men universe, they had another Quicksilver, like another version,
Right.
who was cooler.
He is cooler because he's funny, and they do those great music montages whenever he's in action.
When they use that slow down effect to great.
Fox totally hit that out of the park with him.
Yeah. And they were able to actually use him as like Magneto's kids or whatever, too.
Right.
They
And
could kind of use his character properly.
And there's even a reference to Magneto being his dad, because when he shows up in Days of Futures Past, and he breaks him out because he's the one who breaks Magneto out. So you can move metal with your mind or whatever. And he's like, yeah. He goes, my mom knew a guy like that.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
So, like,
throwaway, not really a throwaway comment. You're meant to grab it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Civil War, I feel like this is one of those movies we just don't need to talk about all that much. It's a great movie. It's the best story of all the movies, I think.
I mean, I think it could definitely rival the original Avengers movie. Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I can see somebody making an argument. I wouldn't make that argument myself personally, but it's really a beloved movie. People really dig it. And it's only 5 on our list.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Civil War is great. And also, too, like we're finding ourselves talking about these movies a little bit less and less because we've mentioned scenes already when we were talking about other movies at the early part of our countdown.
Right.
You can't help but to talk about these movies as a whole.
Since they're all connected.
Right.
Yeah, they're all connected. So you can't help kind of sometimes to talk about them because our list isn't chronological. So, you know.
Not at all. Speaking of the list, shall we move on?
Yeah, let's move on to number 4.
All right. Number 4 is the original Avengers movie.
I'm kind of mad this is only 4. But let's talk about like the rankings here. Let's go over it.
Okay, Ron, you had it at number 1.
I did.
Nick had it at number 6.
Nick.
I'm sorry.
I had it at number 5.
Okay.
So.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start going to bat for the Avengers. I guess
it
right
had
away.
to be number 1 for Ron if he's mad at
Yeah. Right. Avengers is one of the very few movies for me in my history of watching movies that gave me a feeling of awe when I'm watching it in the theater. Very few movies ever did that for me. Maybe Jurassic Park and Terminator 2, Avengers. I was watching these movies in the moment, just pinching myself going, I can't believe I'm watching this. This is so good. This is so much better than it has any right to be. Mm-hmm. And it was the fruits of those early movies.
Right, it was the kind of the culmination of those movies coming into one.
Was it the official end of Phase 1? It had to be, right?
I want to say yes.
I think you are correct.
Yeah. So Joss Whedon came on board for this movie. And he directed and wrote it, and it has all those like funny hallmarks of his. And I feel like he deserves credit for the sense of humor that has sort of continued on through the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We had moments where, like, Robert Downey Jr. is just sort of a charismatic, kind of funny guy. So he's able to have some humor. Thor had, like, no sense of humor in the first movie that I could tell. Captain America, Chris Evans is a pretty funny guy, usually.
Now, he did have a funny one. He did have one funny thing. Remember when they were talking about Loki, and they said something about, well, he's your brother. And he went, well, he's adopted.
But that's in Avengers, though. That was in this movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's like, what was it he said? Like,
I care how you speak. Loki is beyond reason, but he is of Asgard, and he is my brother.
He killed 80 people in 2 days.
He's adopted?
Yes.
Because he was ready to, like, get defensive and take up for Loki. He was adopted. That was a great line, but that's Whedon. I mean, that was all his humor. And as great as that movie looked, and as much credit as it deserves for bringing Hulk into the, like, what he is now. They nailed Hulk. I mean, good God, it was just like, wow, where's Hulk been all this time?
Well, it was the first time you actually saw a good version of him. Now, I'm not saying Edward Norton didn't do a good job acting, but the Hulk, the way he looked, just left a lot to be desired.
And a lot of that's credit to Mark Ruffalo.
And I guess they were maybe trying to make him look a little like Ed Norton, but it just didn't work.
No.
But this one is by far
the transformations, the humor of Hulk. everything Hulk said was like a punchline. Loki, my favorite villain of all the cinematic
Puny God.
Puny God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love how like Loki's kind of you'd seen Loki before. His character had been introduced, but I feel like I'm not trying to get like he was like another one of those kind of sympathetic villains in a way. He's just really trying to get his father's respect.
Right.
He has a complex. Obviously, his brother is the actual son of Odin, and he's got a bit of an inferiority complex. And oh gosh, who's the actor that plays him?
Tom Hiddleston.
Hiddleston. Right, Hiddleston. Yeah, he's so phenomenal as Loki. And it's kind of the beginning where you start seeing the characters pair up. Stark and Banner kind of gravitate towards one another. Thor immediately starts tangling with Hulk. All those like little kind of side relationships start forming. And then you start seeing that rivalry between Cap and Iron Man.
Yep.
That starts showing up in this movie. Ego is kind of like, I wouldn't say Cap had an ego, but he feels like he's the leader. And Tony Stark's kind of he's going to lead, but his way, and he'll do it all by himself if he has to. He doesn't care.
Kind of a little bit.
He'd probably prefer to do it all
a little
by himself.
flamboyant and arrogant.
Yeah, he is arrogant for sure. But all the characters mesh so well. You have a really good villain. You get Thanos, right? Thanos is like the first kind of.
You get him at the very end credit scene.
Yeah.
And that was actually not CG. That was an actor in makeup.
Okay.
So, and that's why he looks a little different there. He's a little bit different shade of purple, and he looked a little bit different because it was an actual person and it wasn't CG. Because actually, even in one of the other end credit scenes, I think he might have looked just a little different than he actually looks now.
Yeah. He does look a bit different now than
But
he did then.
To their credit, now he looks fantastic.
He looks so good.
He looks
now.
real.
Yeah.
I mean,
the CG in Infinity War to make little 5'10", Josh Brolin look like Thanos convincingly.
Oh my gosh, it's
crazy,
fantastic.
We're gonna get there. I don't want to talk about Avengers a whole lot because we've already talked about Avengers a bit with Nick and I. But I mean, I know you guys think it's a great movie. Obviously, you're not crapping on the movie. I know you guys agree with a lot of the things I'm saying. But it is one of the early great movies, and we've had so many good movies piled on top of us since then.
Right.
Coulson.
Yeah, you get Coulson.
Yeah.
He kind of was he was used,
the catalyst.
Yeah, he was kind of used to bring them all together after he died, and then he went on to that show. I guess it's still going. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I've never watched a single episode.
I don't know if it's on. I haven't either.
I have no idea. But yeah, ABC had some shows.
Well, you get Maria Hill too. I know she's not as big of a character, but she's introduced.
Yeah. The fight scene in Manhattan with all of those big creatures, like wormy looking creatures. The punches.
Well, the initial fight scene with Thor, Iron Man, and Hulk, or Thor and Iron Man and Cap in the woods.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool because it's the first time you saw all three of them together and they're fighting each other.
Yeah. Oh, and I like how Tony kind of made fun of Thor's dress and attire or whatever.
All right, Point Break.
It is great, and I love the scene where they're kind of trying to contain Hulk, and he's changing when they're on the helicarrier.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that was all great. So but everything going on in that scene, like Iron Man's fighting to try and save the engine, and he's working with Cap for the first time really. Thor's keeping,
he's fighting the Hulk.
Thor
basically.
and Black Widow are trying to keep Hulk busy. So I don't know. I love this movie. I don't necessarily need to go too much to bat for it.
No, it was just it was done very well.
I can still watch it today. Like it's it feels so grand to me still. I don't think that movie's ever going to be a bad movie for me.
Oh no, I don't think it could ever be a bad.
The effects are so ahead of their time, and the writing is so good, and the story's so fun.
Yeah,
I'm just always going to really cherish that movie. Anyways, that's my favorite MCU movie.
It's good.
We'll just move on from there, I guess.
All right.
Number 3, we're in the middle round now.
The Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, okay. All right. How do we each rank these?
Ron, you had it at 3, which is where it's at. Or
No, he's got 2.
I'm sorry, I
Okay.
looked down at the wrong list. I'm sorry. Yes,
Number
Ron
2
does
for
have it
me.
at 2.
Loved it a
Nick
lot.
has it at 3.
Yep.
I have it at 6.
Explain yourself, Jason. No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do that. I had it the highest, so I guess I'll...
To me, this was like such the sleeper hit.
Oh yeah, because I don't think anybody was expecting this to
Yeah,
be what it turned out to be.
I remember when because they always will announce like the future lineup.
Yes.
And so I remember there was like all these logos of like the future like Marvel movies coming out, and Guardians was one of those logos I saw, and I was like,
What the hell's that?
Guardians of the Galaxy, what is that? I like never even really heard.
Yeah,
of
I
it
really
before.
wasn't too keen on it at all
And
either.
so even then, when I like looked it up, like what is that? So I look it up. It's like,
This is the B Squad, isn't it?
Well, it was funny when I like
that's gonna be a movie. I can't see that happening.
It's a tree guy and a raccoon?
Yeah,
well, raccoon, we knew Rocket from the games.
Well, the
Marvel game.
can't talk. The raccoon kind of had me thrown off when I first looked it up because I was like, seriously, they have a raccoon? But I mean, he's like one of the best parts of the film.
Oh, man. Well, Bradley Cooper is a great, likable, funny character.
They really
actor.
pulled it off.
I mean, him and Groot are fantastic.
I could not picture it at all. Like when I looked it up, I was like, "How is this going to be a live?"
It's almost like they didn't have a ton of confidence in it either because it got dumped to August, which is traditionally a movie or a slot where they stick a movie they have not a lot of confidence in. So even then, it probably budget-wise was low for them, I imagine.
Yeah.
There weren't a lot of big-name stars in it at the time. Zoe Salda or whatever her name is.
Zoe Saldana.
Saldana and Dave Bautista, who again was really nobody much.
He hadn't done a whole lot of big things to that point. I mean, he was kind of out there, but not,
Yeah, and Chris Pratt was like, he was kind of like the dad bod chubby guy from Parks and Rec, and
which he dropped all that off.
Oh, he got like ripped, dude.
Yeah.
He got ripped, and I liked in Parks and Rec too. Like there was this like little funny scene. You watched it, Nick, right? Parks and Rec.
I'm in the middle of watching it.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a point when you realize you can automatically tell when he lost all the weight in the show because there's like some comment where they go to England or something, I think, and one of the characters are like talking to one another, and he goes, "Wow, man, so you lost all that weight just by stopping drinking beer?" He's like, "Yeah, I know, right?" Because he always kind of had that like little chubby to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think that all of these actors, every single one of them, will forever be known for these characters. They'll always be tied to these characters.
Well, you had a bunch of other people in this film too, because Josh Brolin was actually in it, because Thanos is in it. You meet Nebula.
Yeah.
Then you had what was the main bad guy?
I had his name
Pull it
a
up.
second ago.
I got it on the tip of my tongue because he was in the Lord of the Rings.
Did it start with the R?
Lee
Ronan,
Pace.
it's Ronan.
Ronan, but
Ronan, like the
yeah.
Destroyer. But what's
Yeah.
what's
Lee
the
Pace.
actor's name?
Oh, the
Lee
actor?
Pace. It's right there next to Lee Pace.
Lee Pace.
Yeah.
Who? Well, I don't reckon he was in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, he had blonde hair. You couldn't tell it was him. He was one of the
Oh, he's in Captain Marvel. Did you guys know that? It says here that he's in post production for Captain Marvel.
because Captain Marvel goes backwards. It takes place in the 80s.
Thranduil. Huh.
So yes, he's going to be back.
That's cool.
So, but yeah, you get that character. Well, then John C. Reilly's in it.
Oh yeah.
He's
What a bunch of a-holes.
Horseman Day, and then you got obviously you meet Michael Rooker's character.
Yeah.
Yondu.
Yondu. Yeah.
Benicio del Toro. You get to meet him for the first time as the
Oh,
collector.
as the collector. Yeah.
And then
Which
Gwen-
is important as
Gwen
far as
Close
the
is in
stones
it.
go.
She's Nova Prime.
Yeah. So
So-
another big actor from
So
the
you got
70s,
introduced
80s.
to a lot of characters, and it just
But you're right, Nick. This kind of felt like Marvel's hubris. Like, is this going to be the first clunker that they release? And I think until you saw the first trailer, which was one of the best trailers.
Yeah.
I feel like when I saw that first trailer with the ooga chaka ooga,
Yeah,
and they're like doing the lineup, and like Peter's got the finger going up. A wonderful trailer.
when I first
The
saw
soundtrack.
oh yeah, the
Soundtrack is
soundtrack's
so
great.
good.
Well, after I saw it the first time, I thought, wow,
Yeah.
this is Marvel meets Star Wars. This is Marvel's version of Star Wars. It was great.
It was, and I guess it's why I had them one too. I had a real similar feeling to the Avengers movie, where like I knew I was watching something real special. Like I didn't want it to end. This is such a good movie. All the characters are like good characters.
Now it starts out on a pretty hard note when Peter's mom.
Oh God, the cancer scene that
it's
was
like,
really hard to watch.
Oh my God, dude!
Talk
like,
about a hard
Oh, it
breaker.
was rough.
Yeah, and then he sees her on the bed at the end too.
Right.
And like, oh God, you're right. That was tough. But again, Chris
Peter Quill. Chris
Peter
Pratt.
Quill. Yeah, Chris Pratt. And his eyes, like he's just able to emote so well with just his eyes. Like you feel his pain and like in everything. And but yeah, Star Wars or Star Trek, even kind of like he felt like a Captain Kirk kind of guy. He's like sleeping with an alien at one point. She's kind of in the Alyssa Milano ship or whatever.
The Milano.
Yeah, the
Milano, yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like he kind of had this. He's the Maverick. He's
And like all of his references are from the '80s when we grew up.
yes.
Yeah, calling Rocket Ranger Rick.
I didn't even know what that was until you explained that to me.
Did he have a reference to David Hasselhoff in this? Didn't
We called one of them a Ninja Turtle or something at one point. But I love this scene too, where because like Peter's he's looking for notoriety. He wants to be this famous kind of guy. And there's that one character who finally gives it to him that first scene. He's like Star-Lord.
Yeah.
And instead of being like worried or concerned, he's just like, yes, finally know who I am.
It's Kevin Bacon that he referenced.
Kevin Bacon, yeah. So Footloose, Kevin Bacon. It's the greatest movie ever. But it builds those relationships. Like obviously they're all kind of separate. It's Rocket and Groot, and Peter's by himself, and Gamora. We know that she's the daughter of Thanos.
Right. Her and Nebula both.
Right. So, again, I don't know exactly how much we can talk about this movie. It's so good. It just, it's one of those early movies, one of those great early Marvel
movies. And you actually get an Infinity Stone in this one.
Oh, yeah, because the dance-off, bro.
Yeah.
You're doing a dance, you big dummy. Yeah, I love it. And that's just all Chris Pratt. That's just his personality. But yeah, he grabs the Power Stone. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's the purple. It was the purple one.
The purple one.
I believe it was the power one. I think you're right.
Yeah. Groot dies. That was pretty crazy. He forms the cocoon around him.
Right.
Have you seen the
what?
I keep wanting to say post-credit scene, but that's not what I'm looking for. Like blooper, like the gag reel, where they do that dance-off thing. And the
no, I haven't seen this.
Lee Pace. You haven't watched the blooper reels?
Dance off, bro! Me versus you! It's on!
It's pretty funny.
It's really good.
Vin Diesel's Groot.
Vin Diesel's Groot. He somehow finds himself in some other highly successful franchise.
Yeah.
And all he has to do is say, "I'm Groot." Yeah. He gets paid a lot of money. But yeah, the humor of Groot. Like he doesn't say a lot, but it's kind of one of those like Star Wars things where he's saying, "I am Groot," but to Rocket, it's a whole dialect.
And
right.
He recorded that one line like a ridiculous number of times.
Is that right?
Oh man, I read somewhere like I don't even remember what it was, but yeah.
He probably had to get it just right.
He said that one thing like so many different ways.
I can believe it. Yeah, I never even thought of that. So yeah, even though he doesn't have to memorize anything, he still has to like. As an actor, how many times can you say that and make it mean something new each time? Yeah. So give him credit. Oh, I like Vin Diesel. Don't get me wrong. I think he's actually an underrated actor, really. Ever since I saw him in Saving Private Ryan. But, just really funny movie. And has a lot of heart, a whole lot of heart. Maybe the most heart out of all the movies. Would you guys maybe agree with that? Like, does this movie have the most heart?
Possibly.
I mean, Captain America's got heart for sure, but I don't know. They feel they're like they feel like a for real family.
Yeah.
Whereas the Avengers are kind of they just call together because they have to.
Yeah.
They feel if you feel like they care for one another by the end of the movie, a lot.
Yeah, I can see that.
Got to talk about Dave Bautista in this role. We'd mentioned him in the other movie, but
yeah, what was that line? He's like, "I will catch it."
Oh yeah, well he was like something about like it'll go over your head, and he was like, "It would not go over my head."
My reflexes are too quick.
I love the way he delivers these lines are so damn good. And I don't know if that is James Gunn's influence or if that's just all Batista.
I don't know, but
he does it very well.
He takes to it like a fish out of water. I mean, it's the movie that he was born to play. I feel like.
Oh, and like Rocket, like forever, like being like, I need that guy's leg.
Yeah, he's even doing that stuff in Infinity War. I'll get that arm. Yeah, well, like he doesn't even need the eye. He just not the leg. Yeah, like I just want the leg.
See if you do it.
I just want to see if you do it.
No, I don't need that.
Right, because he's asking for all this stuff, and you're just like, I assume it all goes together somehow.
Like, all right, here it is. Oh, you really got it?
I had to pay that guy 1,000 credits. And I love that they're all hustling, and then there's that scene where it's just like Chris Pratt trying to bargain with the guy. It's like, you want my what? Oh, and there was the funny scene where they're all kind of imprisoned, and it's kind of like Drax's introduction scene, where he goes over to the guy and he's like takes his knife and he's like, "Oh, it's my favorite knife."
Yeah.
That always makes me laugh so hard the way he says that. My favorite. But yeah, this is just it's a hilarious movie. It's like the Joss Whedon thing where it's meant to be funny and light, and it's the cosmic, I guess. What do you call it? Like when it comes to comic books and stuff, I know that there's all these facets to the comic book world. And they're always, but they talk about the cosmic and the magic and stuff. And I think it was like the first time they actually did that.
Yeah.
Right.
And Doctor Strange obviously kind of fits into that.
Because this definitely didn't take place on Earth. This was in outer space.
It really opened up the galaxy, I guess.
Right.
To everything, As great as Captain America and Iron Man are, there's other stuff out there.
And it really connected them too by starting out on Earth.
Right.
With
Peter
being
Quill,
on Earth.
yeah.
And then the rest of the movie being out in outer space.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Kind of that was our in with them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So okay, why don't we move on to number 2? We got some more to talk about with this
Number
final
2. Iron Man.
The first.
Mm-hmm. Now that says something right there for the first movie to launch the MCU, and it's ranked number 2 on our favorites.
It holds up so well.
Yes, it does.
Now, where does it rank on all of our lists, Jay?
Let's see here. Ron, you had it at number
4.
Nick had it at number 2, and I had it at number 3.
So all of us
top 3
within the
top 3 or 4. Yeah. Robert Downey Jr. in his big comeback role.
Yeah, and he hit it out of the park.
Hollywood was done with him. He made some, like James Gunn, made some real bad mistakes in his life. He gets a second chance, and
ran with it.
He definitely ran with it, and he's been fine ever since. And but who was the character that there was an actor that I feel like you were, because everybody saw. Okay, so there's an Iron Man movie coming out. Not a lot of people knew much about Iron Man, myself included. And but you were familiar with him, and I remember you talking about like there was an actor that you would have preferred to see. Do you remember who it was?
Oh no, it was back in the day because in the comics, Tony is a little bit older in a lot of the comics. So I had talked with some other people about it. It's back when we worked at Charter.
Yeah,
and our conclusion was the best actor to play the part would have been Tom Selleck.
That's right.
Because he had the mustache. Yeah. He was a little older.
Yeah.
And
he's a pretty good actor still in his own
right. So like, there's
and
your
he was
Iron
never
Man.
linked to the role or anything.
No. It was just like, thinking off the top of your head, looking at the base material, going, who kind of looks like that fits that part?
Yeah, it's fun to like imagine who would be the right actor. But yeah, everybody looked at Robert Downey Jr. and was like, really? This guy? I don't know about this.
But then he just like...
Well, he hadn't made anything a long time. And then he was in that movie Kiss Kiss Bang Bang with Shane Black. Mm-hmm. And he was good in that. Kind of showed that he could still act. Mm-hmm. And then next thing you know, he's just like the biggest star in the universe again. So, so you got Iron Man is introduced, a great origin. Just great origin story.
You got a little bit of an introduction to the 10 rings, but it's, not exactly
that never panned out
like the comic book.
It was really cool the way they utilized the very first Iron Man costume, and you kind of see how it evolves.
Right,
for sure. Because Tony is a tinkerer; he's never satisfied. He's always improving, and he's he does that up until the latest movie.
Well, then you had, they kind of had the same concept with Ironmonger's costume was a lot more like the original Iron Man costume.
Yeah.
Ironmonger. So Jeff
Bridges.
Yeah, Jeff Bridges. He was fine. I know like people like talking about him not
Stane.
being very.
I thought he played it pretty well.
Yeah.
Obadiah Stane. Yeah, I thought he did.
I mean, the final fight, granted, wasn't much. He just kind of blasted up way high, and then,
Right.
the fight scene. But that's not what this movie was about. It was just
Right.
introducing Iron Man.
Right. Well, it was about Tony finding that there was more to his life
Than just
than-
making money.
than
Yeah.
just making money.
Well, yeah, because the movie starts out, he's just this, arms dealer taking over for his father. He's obviously a brilliant scientist and stuff, but he's applying it to, weapons.
They say the best weapon is one you never have to fire. I respectfully disagree. I prefer the weapon you only have to fire once. That's how Dad did it. That's how America does it. And it's worked out pretty well so far.
And it was cool how you went down in Tony's lab or whatever, and the Captain America shield was down there.
Yeah.
You saw it.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because that was like the first, I guess, first nod.
He
'cause it was the
used it
first
to
movie.
prop something up.
Right. And there's that,
Yeah.
you've got that Captain
What the
America.
hell's Cap's shield doing
Yeah,
there?
right,
Propping
exactly.
that up. Yeah, it was just sort of there as junk almost.
It was like a prototype of the shield or something.
Oh, and I read that in the original script at the end of the film, where he said, I am Iron Man. He wasn't supposed to do that. He
Oh,
ad-
yeah,
He
I've read that too.
ad-libbed that, and then
Yep.
they decided to keep it.
Because it's so great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've read that too. That was like right on the spot.
Yeah, he just did it on the spot, and they were like, "Whoa, wait a minute, that works."
Damn, that kind of works. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have another roadie in this movie.
Yeah, you get introduced to Rhodey.
Yeah.
That was Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard, who's great.
Right.
But I love was it Cheadle?
Don
Don
Cheadle.
Cheadle. He's great. Yeah. He's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was a good move, I guess.
Well, I think it was all about money. I think after the first one happened, Terrence Howard
might have been a bigger star than
went-
Robert Downey Jr. at the time.
He went back and asked for more money, and they were just like, "No." So he said, "I'm walking," and they said, "Okay."
Bye bye.
Walk on then.
So I mean, they
Well, that's Marvel's MO. They don't pay out a lot of money. They Jon Favreau was the director, which is really unusual. He directed Elf.
Yeah, and he was in the movie too. So
Yeah, he gave himself a nice little part.
yeah,
but it worked out great. We get Pepper. She's introduced. So the movie had its stars.
right.
But I mean, just the movie looks so good.
Well, yeah. I mean, plus, I mean, when it came out, I think everybody's a little skeptical. Like, how are they gonna do Iron Man and make it look good, not look fakey or like terrible CG?
So much credit goes to Jon Favreau for that decision to, when Tony's in the costume,
He's actually in it.
he's not really that though. Where I was
Talking of,
going,
like the HUD.
the HUD.
Yeah.
You're not covering up his face. You're letting Robert Downey Jr. be like act with his face. And they use that all the time now. But I love that decision.
But wasn't there an actual costume in some of the scenes? He's actually in a costume.
Yeah, there's a point where they went to that kind of effect where they just like kind of go behind him and they don't even wear a helmet ever. But I think in the first movie he did.
Yeah.
It was like a piece that was there. Now I think they just wear like a collar or something and then they CG everything.
Well, any which way they did it, it turned out
It looked
very
great.
well.
Yeah, it looked really good. It's a story of redemption.
Right.
Which is it's like
And
a
he's
comeback.
not an actual superhero. He has no super abilities. I mean, he's really
He's like,
smart.
he's Batman, right? He's the
Right,
Batman
he
of
is
the Marvel
Marvel's
universe.
Batman, right.
And everybody loves Batman. He's got all the money and resources in the world. Like in the Justice League movie, like, what's your special power? I'm rich. Okay, yeah, you're rich, but you're also like really smart and intelligent and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like Tony, he's you get a sense that he's the smartest person in the world.
Right.
There's no limitations. Like he thinks it, and he has all the resources to build it. And I love it. It's great. So that you can always count on like neat toys and gadgets.
He's
And
very resourceful.
just right off the bat, this movie Iron Man was our favorite character. And when when Robert Downey Jr. goes, I thought he was gone. At one point in that Infinity War, I was like, here we go. This is the end of Tony Stark. We're seeing somebody's gonna die, and this is how they're gonna do it. And they ended
They swear
not.
They threw the curveball.
Yeah, they did. They cheated a little bit, but he got his death scene, but not really. I don't know. I just love this movie. It's great.
Well, I mean,
I can watch this movie again and again and again.
I think it was just surprisingly good, and just it's almost to the point of being like believable. Like, hey, this could kind of happen.
Yeah,
Because
good point.
there's nothing in the film that's supernatural, magical, anything
There are no
like
powers.
that. I mean,
Yeah.
And that's what's something that kind of concerned me a little bit as the MCU kind of progressed. Like, especially, like, I guess when you start getting to, like, Doctor Strange and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's kind of started out and it was building up, like, not too terribly, like, fantastical, and now they're starting to introduce more of the magic and stuff.
They've pulled the curtain back more and more and more. So
right, right.
He's so intelligent and so cunning. Like that's his only advantage. That's the only way he can stay in the game.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but it kind of like the comment I was making with Guardians. It's just when I hear like this other thing coming out, it's like, well, how are they going to do that? It doesn't really fit in the universe.
Yeah,
they make it happen.
They made it happen by keeping us separated till just recently.
Right.
So. They kind of spoon feed you a little bit at a time, and it just evolves.
And they slowly kind of
it sinks in, right? Kind of naturally, organically.
Yeah.
It's not at all jarring when you finally do see them all together.
Yeah.
So 19 movies to get there.
Right.
Yeah. But they got there just perfect. Anything else we can say about Iron Man? Again, I don't want to scoot too far
Great
past
movie.
it.
Great soundtrack.
Yeah, AC/DC.
Little Iron Man.
And Iron Man, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, I was really happy that they were able to get that license to the Iron Man.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Like, the trailer was great. And at first it was just like Robert Downey Jr. Again, he buffs up. That's kind of been a common theme for like a lot of these Marvel movies. The actors, they'll hire these guys who aren't huge, and they'll always get in great shape.
Right.
Like, Paul Rudd with Ant-Man. They always got to have a scene where they show off their abs or something.
Right.
It's like, oh yeah, he's been hitting that gym way hard.
Yes, indeed.
Whereas we're going to talk about this movie some more, but like, what was it in Infinity War? They were joking about the Star-Lord looked a little soft.
No. Yeah, there was a joke in there, I think.
I think it was just like that mustache or something made him look chubbier. But yeah, Iron Man's. I've heard people say that they feel like it's like a near perfect movie.
It's right there at it.
It's hard to argue with that.
I'm just not the hero type, clearly. The truth is, I am Iron Man.
Without further ado, should we go on to number one, as if people don't know?
What could it be?
We've only mentioned it a million times already.
Boom.
That's the Steelbook, in case you guys can't tell. That's Infinity War.
Yep.
It's that's Thanos.
And it
right
doesn't
there with his
come out until
gauntlet.
Tuesday.
Yeah, how'd you
That's
get this
right.
early, man?
Got my connections.
Yeah, right. You just came early.
That's right.
Yeah, Infinity War, which is Avengers 4 or 3 or 3.5, whatever you want to call it. It's the movie that everything led up to, basically. And so, how did it rank on all of our lists?
Let's see.
Well, you saw the movie and instantly was like, my number one. Like, you didn't even need to think about it at all.
You and I were like, I don't want to just immediately say that. I loved it, but I don't want to just immediately say, yeah, that's number one.
Yeah, I always try to pause and give a moment to think.
Yeah.
Well, it just was one of those movies when it was over. It was probably the most gratified I'd ever been from watching a film. Like, it was just like,
Gross.
Just like, if you've seen The Big Bang Theory, like at the end of it when they see The Force Awakens, and they're
You
all
were
like,
smoking a cigarette afterwards. Like, Jay, you did look pretty gratified. I think we saw that movie together.
yeah, we did. And it was just like, holy cow, they hit this thing out of the park.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this whole time you've been leading up to Thanos, the whole time.
It's
and you kept
18 movies of foreplay.
You
and
get
then
like tidbit here, tidbit here,
Finally,
tidbit here.
the release.
Yeah, finally it was here, and it was just, I don't know, man, it was great. But our individual rankings, Nick had it at 3. Ron
had it at 3.
I'm sorry, Ron had it at 3.
Yeah.
Nick had it at 4, and I had it obviously at number 1.
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess you should go ahead and speak to it as much as you can. Give you the first go. Take the first crack at this.
Well, I
movie.
mean, you got all kinds of cool stuff going on. You actually,
you already said it was
you
the
actually-
culmination.
You know, you get Thanos, and then you get like some backstory on him. You know why he's doing this, and then you see, you know, the backstory with him and Gamora, how Gamora became his adopted daughter.
His reasons make sense.
Yeah, I mean Yeah, I mean you get the Black.
Nobody
Order.
agrees with the means to like.
No.
But it makes sense.
And then you get you get the introduction of the Black Order, which they're all kind of
Oh my god,
cool
they were
looking
so
characters.
cool.
Yeah.
Who was the one that ended up on Earth where he would just kind of like,
He had, like, the
you are
mind
in the
control.
presence, like.
Yeah, he was cool.
Oh my god.
Was that Ebony Maw?
Yeah, Ebony Maw.
Hear me and rejoice. You are about to die at the hands of the children of Thanos. Be thankful that your meaningless lives are now contributing to the balance.
Earth is closed today.
Okay.
All the other ones were neat, but he was the standout of those characters.
Oh, and I saw something the other day that got pointed out online that I had not noticed. I can't remember what the biggest one's name was. The really big one.
I have no idea.
In that scene on Earth, when they're kind of walking down the street, if you look on his hip, it looks like he has a Captain Marvel sash on his hip.
What would that mean?
Like her cape or whatever. Like, I don't know. But they pointed that out, and they showed it. Then they showed the emblem at the end of the film when you see in the extra credit thing,
Yeah.
and it was
Yeah,
wow, they may be onto something here. So I don't know.
Huh. Well, 'cause it's implied by that end credit that
Right,
she's
but-
going to be there to save
But
the
it
day,
looked like
kinda.
her cape was on his waist.
So we might see him again, is what you're saying.
No, I don't. I think didn't he die in the film?
Well, but Captain Marvel's in the past.
Oh, he could be. From the
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
new Captain Marvel movie. You're correct. It's just the way they did everything. I mean, you start out and Thanos is fighting Hulk.
Oh yeah,
It's like,
we have a Hulk,
Dude, I mean that was
and
great.
kicks Hulk's freaking ass.
Right.
does.
Well, not at first.
Yeah,
At
let
first,
him have
Hulk-
his fun.
At first, Hulk was kind of waylaying on him a little bit. Then all of a sudden, Thanos just showed his, showed his cojones. I mean,
He beat Hulk so bad he didn't even want to come out and be Hulk
right,
anymore.
right. It's pretty much how the movie went.
Nearly killed him. If it wasn't for the one guy that you were saying, like, did he
Right.
die in this one? What's his character's name? It's Idris Elba, and the actor.
Oh, Heimdall.
Heimdall, yeah.
Yes, Heimdall did die.
His kind of final act of valiancy just
It
sort
appears
of
that
saves him.
obviously at the beginning, Loki, it appears that he dies. Of course, he's
Yeah,
done
well,
this before and got
Let's
away
go ahead and
with
get out
it.
of the way too, man. Like
So-
this movie, there's a lot of people that
Yeah, it's heavy. A lot of people
die supposedly.
Yes. And well, then Tony gets to meet Doctor Strange. Of course, they have a pretty cool conversation there at the beginning. They're kind of going back and forth at each other, and then obviously, the Hulk, falls out of the sky basically because Heimdall made a rainbow bridge and sent him to Earth because Thanos was going to kill him.
Yeah, he risked his life to save Hulk, which is interesting.
And then Spider-Man, he comes back into the mix, and you get to actually see the Iron Spider, which was really cool.
Yeah, they teased that suit in Homecoming.
Yeah.
You got to see him use it.
And then the Guardians actually finally get pulled into the mainstream with the
That's what a lot of
Avengers.
people were really looking forward
And
to.
that
is
was,
similar to how the Avengers movie, like, ooh, what's it going to be like when they finally meet?
And oh my gosh, when Thor ends up on the Milano, that is some of the funniest stuff. When he's calling Rocket Rabbit.
Sweet rabbit.
What was it?
Well,
Rocket
because
said,
Quill's like instantly jealous of Thor because they're all in awe of
but
him.
like Rocket,
Oh, yeah.
but Rocket's like, he looks like an angelic pirate.
Quill's like talking like him. Are you mocking me?
Yeah.
And Drax, he had those lines that he would move so slow that.
Oh yes.
I'm certain you cannot see me.
I'm invisible.
Hi, Drax.
I mean, it was just fantastic, and you had and it was like nonstop action the whole time.
Yeah,
There
it
was
was
something going on the entire movie.
Yeah.
I mean, and then Thor got a.
Can we talk about like the whole part where Tony and Quill and all of them kind of meet?
Right.
And,
that was really good.
They're
too.
having like a back and forth. He's like, "Wait, are you from Jesus? Are you from Earth?"
You're from Earth.
I'm from Earth. I'm from Missouri.
Yeah, that's on Earth, dipshit. What are you hassling us for?
Kind of like they're having this great back and forth. Yeah. And Quill's like, "Nah, that plan sucks. Let's go with my plan." And the plan was actually a really good plan. We find out nearly had him.
Right.
But again, Quill gets to show off his emotion, his range, when he, of course, learns that Gamora dies. We think. I mean, he throws Gamora off the cliff.
Yeah. Well, that's
to gain access to a stone.
And then we get our Red Skulls back in town.
Yes.
That was, it was fantastic that he showed back up the way he did.
And he kind of transformed from like this kind of ghostly kind of figure, and then he sort of like he reveals himself as Red Skull.
Well, I think now that I read that now that Thanos has the Soul Stone, he can leave that planet now.
Yeah, because he was like cursed or
Yeah,
something.
so Red Skull
watch
can
over
leave
that.
now.
So,
okay.
Yeah, and that's how the Russos were kind of insinuating that he's probably going to show up again.
He'll make a comeback.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope so.
I mean,
that would be cool. That would
plus,
be really
you get
cool.
to see Thanos, gather the stones. He's got the gauntlet.
Yeah, he's got the
So
gauntlet,
he's
man,
gathering
and to the point where like
stones.
you see that hopeless kind of slow motion fight scene on Wakanda, where they're
Yes.
all kind of taking their shot, and he's just instantly. First thing he does is he puts he puts the Hulk in like stone. Like he kind of goes like he kind of just does like this, and then he like goes. Is it the Hulk that he does that too?
No,
I don't remember.
that was
He was in the Hulk Buster. It was him though, I think.
Oh yeah, Banner.
Yeah,
in
Banner
the
was
Hulk.
in that Hulkbuster stuff, but he kind of like disregards him, and he gets caught in like the stone or whatever.
Right.
And then they're all taking their shots. Cap's got that, like he's holding him back as best he can, and like Thanos is almost kind of looking at him like, this is nothing.
My mother's name is Martha too.
Oh no!
No, Lord, don't go there.
That'd be great.
That won't work.
But it was so devastating because Scarlet Witch had to make she had to kill Vision.
Right, and after you kind of seen where they were kind
Yeah.
of moving on with their lives a little bit, they were.
Oh man, how like heart wrenching was that though? That she did that sacrifice
For
and then
nothing.
he just like pulls back time,
Rewinded time.
rewind time, and
Right.
yeah.
It was really cool, but it was like this. It was this heartbreaking thing, and then he rewinded time, and then he just rips it like out of his head.
Yeah.
In front of her.
Right, and then he just kind of turns this gray like, just dead
Husk
thing.
of a guy. Yeah. Well, because he's just an android, and that's what was.
Right.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
And you get to see Stormbreaker, Thor's new axe.
That was cool.
That was pretty cool.
When he showed up with Rocket on his shoulder or whatever. Great moment.
Yeah.
That was one of those like tingle moments
And
I
it
like
was
to talk
cool-
about.
And it was cool how Groot made the handle.
Oh yeah, he
Yeah.
chopped off his arm to make that
Yeah.
handle.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Tyrion from what's his name, Peter Dinklage.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed his little part in the movie too.
Yeah.
It's like you will perish or die. And he's like, I'll be dead. Yes, that's what it means. So much. There's that humor there, like this kind of. It was Joss Whedon-esque.
Oh, and was it Scarlet Witch that was just kind of like waiting, like watching
With Vision?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
'cause, I
and
mean,
what's
yeah,
the
she was,
girl
like,
in
guarding
Black
Vision.
Panther movie?
Black Panther's
and so
sister is
then-
trying to.
Then when she came down and started taking everybody out, she's like, "Why has she been up there the whole time?"
Yeah.
Yeah. She was
Yeah.
trying to get the stone out, and not kill him.
She was staying behind as a last resort. And,
Right.
But they needed her. They were
Yeah.
getting their ass kicked.
But
down
she
in
was going to
Wakanda.
try to remove the stone and keep him alive. Try to separate the two.
Let's talk about Wakanda for a second. Kind of disappointed a little bit.
How so?
Well, you always would hear about how technologically advanced Wakanda was, and it's so much so that they keep it hidden from society. Like you can't even really like see.
That they didn't put up more of a fight.
Well, they didn't put up much of a fight, but also I wasn't really impressed with the way they used their tech. They kind of showed up on those like hover tanks or whatever and dropped them off, but then they just fought with just on the ground. Like
Yeah, but like really, I guess all you see is like the shield that they're all breaking through the shield.
yeah. Well, and the shield's great and all, but they end up they went under it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I just was kind of disappointed with Wakanda, especially since it was like such a big part of the movie. Like you saw them, you knew that Wakanda was going to be a big part of the movie.
Yeah,
Right.
like in Black Panther, I mean, there was all kinds of like flying vehicles and
Right.
Yeah, because I mean that's how towards the end of the movie they're trying to fly away to, take the tech out into the world and.
Yeah, so I didn't even think of that, but I see the point.
Yeah, I wish
They
that they
underutilized
could have
what
meant
they
more.
had.
Like I was just disappointed with it.
Unless it was just meant to be that no matter what they did, since he had the gauntlet and he was going to have all the stones, and no matter what they threw at him, he was going to defeat it regardless. So,
I guess. But yeah, it's just all of that, all of that advantage, home court advantage they had, and it didn't really seem like they did much.
Right.
But it was a really cool scene to look at.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Although I have to say, like anytime like a big special effects movie kind of uses these CG creatures as like a main foe to fight, it almost kind of doesn't mean anything to me. Like it was kind of like another example in Suicide Squad. You guys have seen that, right?
Mm-hmm.
The part where there's all those turned creatures and they have like no facial features and they're just kind of like they don't mean anything.
Yeah,
it's just wave after wave of CG creatures.
Right.
Yeah,
they're like dogs. I don't know. I don't know. Like I don't necessarily know like what I'm getting at there. Like if I'm complaining or just I wish they could have been different.
Mm-hmm.
But because Thor shows up and just like wrecks house.
Yeah, he comes down
and nearly kills Thanos.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Just really, if he'd gone for the head, is what he'd said. I would have gone for the head. That's just wanted to bring that out there. Just Wakanda. I was just wondering what you guys thought about it. If it lived up to the hype for you guys.
I guess I wasn't really judging it like that, but I mean, now that you say that, there's a little bit of merit there. I see that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I really. Oh, it was really cool to see Black Panther and Captain America charge ahead real fast when they were like leading that attack.
Yeah,
that was way cool. Black Panther is such a cool looking character.
And
I'm waiting for them to use him in a way that I'm going to be blown away.
And then when Winter Soldier got a new arm, that was
he
pretty cool.
got the new arm. The what's the material called? The vibranium.
The vibranium arm. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's really powerful. Now, Rocket wants that arm. I'll get that arm.
Get that arm.
Let's see. Let's talk about the big thing in the movie: the deaths and the disappearing and all that. Every one of those felt really heavy.
Yeah.
Especially the Spider-Man scene.
Yeah.
It felt like it took longer for dramatic reasons.
Right.
Yeah.
And he felt like he was dying in Tony's arms longer than because other people were they'd stand there and they'd just
gone.
like they didn't really understand. Drax looks at Peter and he's like, Quill, and then he just kind of fades away.
Mm-hmm.
But it was weird because you're like, wow, what's going on here? Like I was really kind of shocked at who all faded away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody anticipated it to be the older guys. They were going to be the ones gone, but
the original Avengers were kind of the main ones who didn't
the only
go
ones
away.
that stayed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's surprising. Like, wow, Black Panther is such a popular character, and Spider-Man is such a popular character right now.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe that they got rid of him.
That's where whatever's going to happen in the next film is going to reverse that, and then probably what you're going to see is, I would say, you're going to see Thor, Cap, and Iron Man possibly
pass the torch, and I think you're right.
Well,
they're going to they're going to lean on those characters a lot.
I spoke before about how they always will release the upcoming movies, their release schedule.
Mm-hmm.
But they haven't this time.
Well, but that there's another Spider-Man movie.
Well, yeah, you know that.
Yeah,
and
good
that's
point.
Why,
good point.
You know there's another Guardians, so they're going to be back.
And so I feel like that it took a lot of that impact away from
if
that
you think
scene.
Of it, if you
that is such a good point.
If you
Nick.
think of it that way, because they're going to be.
And I
Black
had that
Panther.
in the back of my head.
If
there'll be another Black Panther.
If
film.
I didn't know there was already a Spider-Man movie coming out, another Guardians movie coming out, it would have been like so much more impactful for me, at least.
Right.
And that's why that's the only reason why I enjoy the movie as much as I did. Like, I don't know if you guys know this about me, but when a character of mine dies, in a film, I don't want to watch it anymore.
Right.
Like I distance myself from Transformers. I've distanced myself from Logan.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I don't like seeing it.
And that's the best.
I don't care. The movie's great, and I'm like, that was a phenomenal movie, but I don't feel like watching it ever again.
Yeah, I mean, Logan's the best Wolverine movie because you actually get to see Wolverine the way he was
by
meant to be seen.
far the best Wolverine movie.
Yeah.
Makes me mad that we can't have any more now.
That's right.
But yeah, that's a great point, Nick. That
you do a buddy movie with
it
Deadpool.
undercuts a lot of that.
Yeah, and I think it's really unfortunate that it was known that these movies were already coming.
Right.
Yeah. But there are some characters where you just you maybe not know. Well, and another neat thing too that I kind of liked is all the peoples that maybe faded off screen that they've kind of teased with us since the movie came out.
Right.
like, oh, these characters are confirmed to be okay still. And then they even used Ant-Man and the Wasp that way.
And that was a surprise there.
The ending of the film,
Yeah.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, yeah.
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 Only. Oh gosh, what's his name?
Ant-Man's the only one who survived.
I know, but what's his name?
Paul Rudd's character,
Paul Rudd.
Scott Lang.
Scott Lang, yeah. Scott Lang's kind of trapped in the multiverse.
And that might be the only reason he survived. Maybe
we don't know.
Maybe the multiverse.
That's
is
part of
what
the
saved
fun
him.
of these movies. You get to
Right.
speculate. Like, was it just because it seems to be 50-50? And well, I mean, it was 50% of all the human life. That's what was Thanos' plan.
I thought it was
And
50%. I thought it was 50% of all life in the galaxy.
It was.
Okay.
But all I'm saying is, if you got a group of 4 standing together,
Two of them are going.
probably 2, probably not all 4 are going to go. But this is the odds.
Right.
But yeah, and you had that great post-credit scene too, where you see Fury goes and
Maria Hill,
both Hill and Fury.
But before he goes, he hits the beeper that calls Captain Marvel.
That felt so good, when that happened, because it just kind of gave you a little bit of hope at the end of that movie.
Yeah.
Even though like what you're saying is true, I still felt like despair. Like, oh God, that was heavy, man. That was really heavy.
Yeah.
But you got she's a powerful character.
Yeah.
And people are really excited about this movie that's coming out. So, but let's talk a bit about what do you guys think Avengers 4 is going to be like? What's going to be Avengers 4?
I have no idea.
Well, you're going to see, I think.
Okay, let me ask you another question. Who do you guys think will either die or go away after 4?
Thor, Cap.
You think Thor's going to go away?
Well, Hemsworth said he's not doing any more movies after this, and Chris Evans has said the same thing.
Yeah, well, that's kind of a bummer when you know these things.
Yeah, I mean,
I was going to say Iron Man and
him
Captain
too.
America.
I think all 3 of them.
Now, do you guys agree with some people that are speculating that even though Iron Man will go away, his consciousness will continue? Like, you may still get like Robert Downey Jr.'s voice as whoever takes the mantle for Iron Man. He'll become like the Jarvis kind of intelligence. He'll live on in that. Have you guys read that or heard about that at all?
But I don't know, if you're going to put that much time into a film, why would you just go ahead and play the part still?
Well, he doesn't have to get dressed up and all this stuff. He just shows up and do his parts.
Anymore, though, he doesn't. If you've noticed, all his Iron Man, when he's Iron Man, it's all CG. That's why he has on one of those mocap suits.
Yeah,
if you, look
you
at some of
can't.
the
You
filming.
can't say that like just showing up for voice work's
I
easier.
think though, like
No, I'm not
if
saying
there
it
would
is.
be
I'm
like
saying, that's what I'm not saying. I'm saying if you're going to put the time in to do that, why wouldn't you just go ahead and act in the movie?
I don't know.
I mean, it's probably not. It's not as difficult, but
Maybe he can finally let himself go a little bit, get a gut.
Cheeseburger and a French fry.
Yeah, man, I can finally have some carbs.
Yeah.
It seems to me though that if there would be like an Iron Man that would have like the Jarvis kind of thing, they would just be using Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, from the yeah, I mean that's.
But in the comics, did somebody take over for Iron Man?
I don't know.
I don't know that I've ever seen that he's not Iron Man.
Yeah, that's a lot of the popular speculations. Like, who could be the Iron Man? People say the sister from Black Panther could be a good new Iron Man.
Yeah.
I think people are also saying she could be the new Black Panther until whatever happens. Like until Chadwick Boseman comes back as Black Panther. But I don't. I think I like the Iron Man.
Did she die or did she live?
She lived. Okay. That was one of those like confirmed off screen. Like, did they live or die? Like, she's one of the ones I think that lived.
Because I know Bucky is rumored to be the new Captain America.
Yeah.
So, which makes sense. I mean, he was their best friends. So, I mean, that would make perfect sense.
Do you think we'll continue to see Black Widow, like Mark Ruffalo, Scarlett Johansson? Do you think those characters will continue on into the next couple movies, or do you think they'll go too somehow? Because you don't hear about them much, Ruffalo. And
I hope to continue seeing Black Widow.
No,
I feel like we got to have some
I think
continuity
you're
with
gonna
the
get.
characters.
I think you're still gonna get Ruffalo because I think his character is finally gonna arc in this movie because you're finally gonna see like the end product of the Hulk. I think.
Oh, and I think we'll be seeing more of Hawkeye, who was not in this at all.
Right. Good point.
Yeah, I've read some things that say he's gonna end up.
Well, he takes on like a new character.
Ronan.
Yeah. Who I don't know anything about. Well, who's Ronan, Jake? Can you kind of like
he's sort of
educate me?
I've read just very little about him, but he's sort of almost kind of like this ninja persona type thing.
Does he do like a League of Shadows kind of thing? Does he go off and
I
train?
don't know where, because apparently many people have taken on the character of Ronan in the comics. So I don't know a whole lot about it. I didn't read a whole lot about it. I saw some pretty cool artwork. It's a pretty cool costume. So I don't have a lot to contribute as far as that goes because I don't want to
put you on the spot too much. But I mean, with the bow and arrow, how deadly can you be, really? I mean, he's even joked about it in previous movies.
Like, Age of Ultron had that line in there. You know, I just got a bow and arrow. You know?
Yeah. What did Tony call him? Legolas in the first Avengers movie.
But he has been gone kind of out of the picture for a little while, hasn't he? When's the last film that he was actually in?
Was it Civil War?
Yeah, he was in Civil War. So he's been vacant since Civil War.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's been up to something, right? Well, why not? Okay. I was just curious how you guys felt about that.
Oh, wait a minute. He'd been locked. Was he one of the ones that got locked up?
Oh, yeah, with Scott.
Yeah,
right?
he was on the island, or the whatever you call that thing. I think they call it the island, don't they?
Yeah, he got arrested.
Yeah, so he was there. So.
Yeah, because like Cap and the others, they kind of got away and had been living kind of low to kept a low profile up until Thanos showed up.
So yeah, you're definitely gonna see him, I think, in this film. I think you're gonna get a.
Who's gonna give Thanos a run for his money?
The Hulk.
Oh, even though we've already seen him kick his butt.
Well, you saw him kick Hulk, but as kind of the Hulk, not the Hulk with Mark Ruffalo's mind, or with Bruce Banner's mind. You're gonna get a smart version of the Hulk, I think.
There's a smart version where they kind of come together a bit
Professor
more?
Hulk.
What? Professor Hulk?
Become like the Gray Hulk?
There was talk of that, but there's been a picture circulating around, like an early poster picture, and it shows the Hulk in a like Avengers uniform type thing. So I think you're gonna get like all the Hulk strength with all Mark Ruffalo's mind, or Bruce Banner's mind.
Cool.
So
where do you think Captain Marvel's gonna end up fitting into all this? Because she was kind of like the call for help.
Yeah, I think she's gonna end up being like the thing that pushes the tide the other way.
Is that right?
I think. I mean, I think in the comic, if I remember right, in Infinity War, I think Adam Warlock was the one who actually defeated Thanos.
I was gonna bring up him next.
But they've not.
Or are they saving him for Guardians 3?
I don't know.
Okay.
Because they have not used him at all, other than the fact that you saw the cocoon.
Have you heard anything, Nick? Yeah.
And she goes, "I'll call him Adam."
Yeah. Right. And so there had to be some. That was like Dr. Evil kind of delivery.
Yeah, well, yeah, wasn't it? I'll call him Mini-Me.
He is golden. Gold. I like gold. That was Goldfinger. Not Goldfinger. Goldmember, yeah. Sorry. All right, cool.
Defasha.
I was just curious because, I mean, so many, like Doctor Strange, who, was really giving Thanos a good bit of trouble in Infinity War, I thought.
Yeah, he had a good fight scene.
He really gave him a good battle, I feel like. But he's not available. He's gone.
Right.
So it's like all your mystical and, I guess Rocket's one of the ones that didn't get phased away too. Like,
I think Rocket did survive.
I think Rocket's good. So yeah, it's like the original Avengers plus Rocket and
Black Panther's sister.
Yeah, I forget her name. And also the girl who plays Michonne from the Walking Dead show, who's got like the bald head, kind of the warrior.
What was her name? Like Shuri or something?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
You're talking about
Are you talking about as the sister or the character I'm talking about?
You're talking about the warrior chick.
I'm talking
the one that's kind of like a warrior.
Because that sounds like the sister's name to me.
I'm talking about the smart.
The one that's like the general of the army or whatever. You're talking about the one that she's kind of like a general or whatever.
Yeah.
Of the Wakandan army.
All right, let me see.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Yeah, she's pretty tough.
Okoye.
Yeah, she's pretty tough.
That's Okoye, and the sister was Shuri.
Yeah, she's the Tony Stark of Wakanda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I was talking.
Yeah, she's like the techie one, like the brilliant.
But do you think people would, like, going back to your earlier comment that she could become Iron Man, do you think people would buy that?
I don't know.
I don't know, man.
It's a hard thing to sell, obviously, to replace a character that's been the same for over 10
Right.
years.
And like I said,
With a relatively new character.
right.
I'd almost prefer they just keep building on the Black Panther, stuff.
Well,
Don't thrust those characters into such an important role so fast.
Well, is there a possibility that you could recast the characters?
I don't know. It's I'm sure whatever I'm sure this is something they've thought about long and hard for years. They must have
at some point this is gonna happen.
This is inevitable. You can't make 20 damn movies. You can't keep making these movies. So they have to have a plan of some kind. They're just keeping it real tight-lipped right now.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it's going to be. I kind of hope they don't recast. I'd almost rather another character take the mantle.
Well, what you could do...
I mean, I would just think that it would just retire that character and just let new characters come in.
Yeah, especially with all the new characters that they have access to now.
You could do that and for a while, shelf them for a while, like retire them, like he's saying, to shelf them. Because, I mean, now they can bring in the Fantastic Four. You can bring in the X-Men. There's a lot.
But they don't really cross paths with
not
this
yet.
universe.
Not yet.
Really much,
Yeah, well, actually, they do. Cause
do they?
Some of the X-Men, Wolverine was an Avenger.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Oh,
of the
you're
X-Men
right. You're right.
Yeah,
just about everybody's been an Avenger, haven't they?
So, like, yeah, I mean, you can definitely.
Okay.
But what they could do is you could start shifting.
But then you got to worry about recasting Hugh Jackman, though.
Well, and here's what you do: you start to kind of shift in that direction, go towards the Fantastic Four, the X-Men. Start, you still got your Guardians, you got all this, but kind of start shifting a little this way, and then once you start getting into those films, well, these other guys, Cap and Thor, Iron Man, they've all been on the shelf.
Yeah.
So people have kind of had a little bit of time to
forget about them a little bit.
Not never forget, but just kind of distance themselves. Then maybe you recast at that point.
That'd probably be the best thing to do.
If you want to, continue on with that character, and you don't want it to. You don't want Iron Man to not be Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Or you don't want Cap to not be Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because that's the thing. If you just immediately assume that they're going to have one of these current characters are going to have to be in that role, it feels too weird. It's like forcing a piece into a puzzle.
Well, it's like now with. I mean, you probably don't want to do anything too soon with Wolverine.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to let that kind of settle for a little.
They can really take their time, and we don't even know as far as the X-Men go. Like, does Fox still have because they're the movie rights go right to Disney.
Now, do you do the X-Men the way you did the Avengers? Do you start doing the main characters get trilogies and you start introducing them? Because Wolverine, oh my gosh, you could do so much backstory with him. It'd be unbelievable.
Yeah.
But you do the whole Weapon X thing. You could just do one film. It's nothing but Weapon X.
I feel like the Weapon X thing has been kind of teased and done before. Though.
Well, they teased it at the end of or in the middle of whatever Apocalypse. X-Men.
Yeah, that one scene where he's freed.
Well, but in X-Men 2 was all about Wolverine.
Well, and then there's the Wolverine movie.
But that movie was not done.
It wasn't great.
It was terrible.
That was the point of that movie. You're supposed to get that backstory.
I kind of feel like the whole Weapon X thing is almost like you're talking about Uncle Ben with Spider-Man.
Yes, I agree.
But see, you never.
Do we need to go Weapon X?
But you never got to really see it because, the way they did it in Origins, they didn't even do the Weapon X thing. They just threw the adamantium, and he escaped. Like there was no Weapon X. Like,
but to a lot of people, that is what Weapon X is.
No, but he was like.
Unfortunately,
he was like a killing machine. Yeah. Like they sent him out and freaking mutilated people.
I agree, but
it's like Freddy Krueger on steroids.
If they continue to keep taking their time like they have been up to this point, I don't think they're going to do Weapon X for quite a while.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying.
They'll tease Wolverine.
Let the character die off a while, and then when you bring him in, kind of do the backstory and kind of get it right this time.
What do you think about Deadpool? What's going to end up happening to his character?
I don't know because he's R-rated, and Disney said they would never do an R-rated thing. How do you take him?
But Disney likes money. We know.
But how do you take him from being an R-rated foul-mouthed character, and make him just not foul-mouthed enough to be PG-13?
Maybe they should just continue to sort of let him work along the fringe, with like little jokes about like X-Men characters not being in the movie. I love how in Deadpool 2, like they're kind of in that room
and they close the door
real quietly.
Apparently, I think in the Super Duper cut, there's more of that scene.
Oh, I hope so. That'd be great. I don't know. I try not to get too far off on a tangent, but I kind of thinking, well, people were like, will they add something in 4 now that they have? But that Fox merger thing ended up taking longer than I think a lot of people expected. They end up getting in a bidding war with like Comcast or something.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna see any
It's gonna be a while,
X-Men
I
or
think.
Fantastic Four show up in this.
I feel like they're like letting the X-Men franchise continue though, like as it is.
Well, I saw some things that maybe that.
Which is frustrating
Phoenix-
because it seems like every other movie's good.
Well, I had read something the next X-Men one. What is it that the Phoenix?
Yeah.
That might get yanked, and so might New Mutants.
New
get
Mutants.
yanked,
I think
and they
you're
may
right.
just scrap both of them.
Yeah, those both of the. Well, I think New Mutants was supposed to be out by now, wasn't it? Wasn't it supposed to come? Well, maybe it was the end of this year. It was supposed to come out.
Something, but yeah, I think.
But it looked really kind of scary. It
well,
had a
apparently
weird
it's done-
tone to it.
Apparently, it's done as a horror movie.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird.
Yeah, I remember seeing a trailer for it. Oh,
But I think they were like,
Remember we saw that with Logan, and Logan was like kind of freaked
Oh,
out.
man, yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't want to see that. That's he leaned into.
yeah, I
it.
think they're
don't
gonna
wanna
like,
see that.
because I mean, nothing's definite, but I've seen multiple things that said they were gonna scrap them. Then I've seen things that said they weren't. So who knows what they're gonna do?
No, but it'll be fun to wait and see how they turns up.
I mean, you could use some of those same characters. I mean, because some of these characters right now are really young.
Yeah.
So I mean, you could bring them over. I mean, plus I'd
Well,
like.
yeah, especially the one who plays the Phoenix story or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Quicksilver. I would rather see that Quicksilver come over.
Well, they can't do that though, right? I mean, they.
Well, see, I had read
that would really mess things
Oh,
up.
you're right, because he's dead in this universe. Well,
how's that gonna work? Now maybe they could use him in the '80s. Like if I mean, I know they can't now, but that would have been a good use maybe of him.
Possibly.
But anyway, I don't know. I guess that's our list, right, guys?
That's it.
Is there anything we'd like to talk about? Any of the 10 movies that didn't make the 10?
Oh, but there was you wanted. I know you were really wanting that one to make the top 10.
Yeah, I thought Doctor Strange should have. Well, Doctor Strange was in my top 10. He was number 10.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about Doctor Strange.
That was
for a second.
I thought that was a really good flick. They like went way out of like.
Benedict Cumberbatch, another
out of
spot on
bounds
cast.
Yeah, well, they went like way out of bounds as far as like the way they do movies and.
Dormammu was
really-
kind of cool. I like
really
that
like pushing the
boss.
envelope with those characters and.
It was like Inception, the Marvel movie.
Yeah,
at
yeah,
some
it was
points.
really good. I mean,
I liked it. It felt like just a good start, Like I mentioned it maybe I don't know if I'd mentioned it in the recording, but I like Doctor Strange in the ensemble world more than I like it as a standalone movie.
well, I think you're gonna get probably a better, more. We'll get more. Obviously, Doctor Strange 2 is coming at some point.
Yeah,
so.
it's gonna have to come. But I just really enjoy him playing off other characters because he's such a
Right.
strong character.
Well,
too.
he has good banter too. Like I mean, he's quick. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, as soon as you say something goofy, he's on you. He's like, really?
What was the scene with Tony? It was like, did you seriously just say something around there? He's like, are you seriously leaning up against the well of whatever that thing was? Yeah, he had a lot of snappy comebacks to Tony.
Yeah, I thought that definitely should have made it in. What else did we?
Ant-Man, I guess, is one that didn't make it in that I kind of thought was,
was he in my top 10?
I really liked both Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp. A lot of fun.
Yeah,
Good little caper movies.
We just, since Ant-Man and the Wasp is the most recent movie to have come out now, we quickly added that into our list.
Yeah.
And
it supplanted the original.
That actually ended up making 11.
Yeah, because actually Ant-Man and the Wasp was my number 9.
Yeah, it's a really fun movie. I really dug it.
So that was very.
2018 has got to be their biggest year. I mean, it was just
So
every
far,
movie was
yeah.
good. Every movie was good. It makes you like. Next year, I think it's just the 2 movies, I guess, with Captain
So far
Marvel.
that they've announced. I mean,
So, and I guess just little tidbits of detail data.
Okay.
That so of like the phase 1, 2, and 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in our top 10, 50% of our ranked top 10 was phase 3. So
wow! So 5 of
half of them were
the newer movies.
The newer movies, yeah.
Interesting.
And
okay.
so 30% was phase 1 and 20% was phase 2.
All right. So phase 2 was I won't say our least favorite, but the least top 10, I guess. That's cool. I like
Well, they were kinda
I like seeing how Data the analysis of the
Well, if you
data.
think about it, Phase 2 is kind of a lot of your bridge movies.
Yeah.
For the trilogy.
Well, Phase 2 also included Age of Ultron, which is all of our least favorite Avenger movie, I guess.
Which was kind of a it was.
If that had delivered more
I liked it.
I
liked it too, but it just. I guess you just wanted it to be that much better than the first one, and it really wasn't. It was almost kind of.
I feel like the trailer was better than what it became, you know,
Right.
like, especially with Ultron.
Which I thought, the guy they had doing the
James
voice.
Spader.
Yeah, he did a great job.
He was.
He
but
had
it
that
got,
ominous
it got
kind of
kinda
voice.
Silly a little bit.
Yeah, he got almost too silly. Like you almost got too much Joss Whedon in it. Like it should have stayed.
Yeah,
a little
you
more,
might be right.
Like it should have stayed a little more serious.
Yeah, and evidently a lot of that movie. He's not doing the movies anymore. He ended up doing Justice League, but I guess he butted heads a little too much with Kevin Feige and the brass.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
he really wanted that whole Hawkeye scene out in the woods, and they let him keep that. But I guess the negotiations over that strained their relationship quite a bit.
Hawkeye scene out in the woods.
Well, when they go out to Hawkeye, you meet Hawkeye's family.
At the house. Okay.
It was secluded.
So
Maybe
Kevin
it wasn't
Feige
the woods.
didn't want that in the movie.
I'm not saying Kevin Feige didn't want it in the movie, but I think that he was straying too far away from the overall tone of what they wanted.
Okay.
And when you're Joss Whedon and you've had that success of Avengers, you start to want to get a little more self-indulgent as it happens sometimes. So I don't know. I'll never know. We'll never know. But that was not a full Joss Whedon movie. I don't think. I think there were a lot of compromises.
Well, neither was Justice League.
Justice League was fine. It was just okay.
It was okay.
We will do a show. Let's agree to do a show on the DC stuff.
Okay.
Yes.
Not just the failures, but Batman in general.
And let's agree they should bring out a Snyder cut of Justice League.
I don't think it's gonna happen, dude.
It's probably not gonna happen.
It is so bizarre. This whole because some people say it exists and then other people say it doesn't.
I think the majority of it was there. I think there's some special effects that weren't completed.
Some rough effects,
right?
Yeah.
So if they could somehow get the money together and finish the film.
Well, you had told me you were excited that they were going to re-release the movie in November.
Right, I had read something.
And I was like, I didn't hear that at all.
I saw something that was, implying that, that they were going to finish it and put it out.
It's like why would they spend all that money to finish it when it was already a huge disappointment?
Well, I mean, think about it. They're two totally different movies, though, from what I've read. Tonally and, the ending. One of the things I read was that you actually saw Darkseid because Darkseid is the one who actually came down and killed, who's the bad guy in the film?
Steppenwolf.
He actually killed Steppenwolf.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty well known that the two movies became one movie.
Right. So it's way off.
Warner Brothers panicked.
You didn't see Superman in his black suit, which was supposed to happen because.
I think best case scenario you're gonna get, Jay, is in 10 years you'll see the Donner cut Superman 2. You'll see something come out, and they'll cobble it together, but they're not gonna rush. They're in no hurry to put that together.
Right.
I mean, after they've sold 3 or 4 different versions of that movie, they may, as a novelty, do something. Because I mean, I'm kind of with you. I feel like the majority of that cut's out there somewhere.
Right. Well, I mean, I think if it's
because I thought Whedon was just mostly brought in at first just to kind of lighten the movie. It wasn't like he was coming in. I mean, he did eventually come in to direct because Snyder stepped aside.
Well, see, the movie was originally supposed to be a 2-parter. It was supposed to be this part here.
You're just gonna hold it. You look silly. Jay's having mic problems here.
But yeah, it was originally supposed to be a 2-part film. This was only going to be the first half.
I should have just let him hold it like that. The rest of it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But it was supposed to be a 2-part film.
Yeah, it was.
And you were supposed to, I think, at the end of this one, obviously meet Darkseid.
Yeah.
And then, you get the rest of it. Because, I mean, that's...
They wouldn't have had to hurry Superman back the way they did.
Right, because the whole...
With the grave digging scene.
Because if you go with the Batman-Superman movie, where Batman has that vision...
Oh, yeah,
and Superman's a bad guy, basically.
Nothing came about
that. That was supposed to happen. Because if you look, when you see that big emblem on the ground burning, that's Darkseid's sign.
Oh, his insignia. Right?
Yeah.
All right, we're just going to tease people. We're not going to go into all this.
Sorry.
That's okay. I want to wrap this episode up. Anything else we want to put on top of that? I feel pretty good about our list.
I like it.
It's a great bunch of movies, man. I enjoy all of them. Even the worst one is good.
Yeah.
So, you know,
everyone's
it's an amazing thing that they've been able to have this string of success. It's just ridiculous.
It's insane.
Always excited for whatever the next movie is. Always.
Right.
Can you guys think of anything that even comes close to how, like, the successful string of movies like this? I mean,
there's nothing in history that's
James Bond is like the only thing I could think of that's had so many movies.
has the staying power.
Yeah, the staying power, but everyone agrees that it's like hits and misses.
But think about this though. When did the James Bond movie start? The late 60s?
I think so, yeah.
The next film, it's 2018. The next film I don't think comes out till next year or the year after. That's the 25th overall film.
Mm-hmm.
How many years has it been since this started?
It's just been like 10 years.
And they've done 20 films.
Because in the Marvel Studios, they got the 10 for the I and the O.
Yeah.
So they got 20 films in 10 years.
They've been
I mean,
shoehorning them in. And I want to say that there was even a year where they didn't release a movie in that 10-year period. Like after Iron Man and then Thor.
2009. Yeah, because Iron Man and Hulk were 2008.
Yep.
2009 was nothing. Iron Man 2 was the only one in 2010.
So really, they've done this in almost 8 years.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
there was. I thought there was a year where they didn't have one.
Avengers was the only one in 2012.
Yeah, so it's just been like these last 5 or 6 years where they've been putting
Really
3 in at
cranking
a
them out,
time.
yeah.
We're just so used to getting one in the early part of the year in the summer and then one in late.
Right.
There was only 1 year that there were 3, and that was 2017.
Yeah. Well,
in
yeah.
2018 too. I mean, there's 3 in 2018.
Oh, he's right there. It's 3 in 2018. Ant-Man the Wasp.
That's
It's a typo.
Yeah, that's a typo because I drag it and.
Oh, okay. I know what you mean. I got you.
So yeah, 2017, 2018.
So 6 movies in the last 2 years.
17 and 18.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's unbelievable the amount of money they've spent.
It's crazy.
And they've gotten it back in spades. I mean,
yeah.
They triple their money like every time they make a movie. It's just like guaranteed.
Yeah,
All right. Well, I've enjoyed talking about these movies with you guys. This is a long overdue topic that I've been wanting to do. Jay, it's great to get your take on
Thanks
movies.
for having me.
BitGeek Podcast. We are we have basically 2 forms that we live in, exist in. Where we are a video podcast on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/BitGeek. But we're also available in your audio only format if video is a little too much for you to commit to and you can't sit down in front of your computer and watch and you just want to listen. You can do that. You can find us on iTunes and Spotify, Stitcher. Pretty much all the major services. You can just do a search for BitGeek and find us there. Nick does a really good job keeping up with our Facebook presence, which is the BitGeeks. That's how you find us there on Facebook. We try to, if we mention something and it calls for a visual cue, I'll put it in the video, but you can't obviously see that in the audio. So Nick will kindly go in and put stuff in. I don't know if we really necessarily need anything for this episode, but especially when we talk about like toys and things, like it comes in handy.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, we already mentioned Jay's off the grid, but you could find me at Ron Avis on Twitter. You can follow Nick at Nicholas J. Wright. I actually just started a Twitter account for the podcast now, so you can also follow us on the official BitGeek Podcast Twitter, which is at the BitGeek Podcast. And I just opened that like a couple weeks ago, and we've already got like a tremendous amount of people following us. It's been cool. So I've been misusing Twitter a bit with just my name. But I'm going to get on Twitter. You can follow us out there, and you can also find Nick and myself from just the BitGeeks Podcast Twitter account. And I'll go on there and update when a new episode will be dropping this week or not. Some weeks we don't have one, and I don't want you guys to wonder whether or not we're going to have a new episode on Thursdays, which is our usual new episode day. So, which I just said, Thursdays, look for new episodes. That's about it. I don't really have anything else.
That's it.
Oh, for one other thing, I mentioned this in the previous couple episodes. If you don't mind, if you go out and you find us on the iTunes and the Spotify's, if you could go out and rate us, give us a ranking, 5 stars. No, it doesn't matter. But it helps us. It helps, those services. The more rankings you get, I think the easier it is to find. you know, like you can find us easily if you know what you're looking for, but they'll recommend us more if we have more ratings. So, you know, if you have a minute and you don't mind, and you could go on to any one of those and just rate us if you enjoyed the show. If not, just don't rate us. Don't show up and give us 1 star.
And leave us a comment on, you know, the YouTube comments or Facebook or Twitter, you know, whatever.
Yeah, I like interacting with the people in the YouTube comments and on Twitter. It's always a thrill to, you know, to realize that people are giving us their time, and we appreciate that. And it's fun to speak to like-minded, you know, people like us. There's a lot of you out there. So, anyways, thanks for your time. I've been your host, Ron Avis.
I'm Nick Wright.
And I'm Jason Birdwell.
And see you next week.